You wake to the hum of machines, a low, endless vibration, like the universe itself is clearing its throat. Metal walls, flickering lights, the faint echo of something that used to be applause. You built all this, your empire of gears and fire. You once called it progress. Now it just feels like noise. Outside, the sky is a pale orange bruise, a constant sunrise that never finishes waking up. The world spins on loops of sound, engines, alarms, laughter that isn't yours. They call you a villain, a genius, a joke. But the truth is simpler. You're just tired of running simulations, tired of chasing something faster than light and dumber than hope, tired of being the smartest fool in a world that runs on punchlines. You still remember when it mattered, when Dr. Eggman meant something, when the world feared your name instead of laughing at it. But that was before the blue blur, before the script changed, before your story became the punchline of someone else's show. You stare at your reflection, a perfect circle of irony, a man shaped like the world he tried to control. And in that still moment, just before another explosion, you realize the truth. The storm never left. It just learned to laugh. You wake again. Same chair, same console, same plan. The lights hum with that cruel kind of optimism that only machines can fake. Your screens bloom to life, 1,000 blueprints of failure glowing like ghosts. Every morning begins the same way, with confidence. And every night ends the same, with smoke. You tell yourself this time will be different. This time the plan is perfect. This time you'll finally crush him, but deep down you already know the truth. You're the setup to a joke that never ends. And the punchline wears red shoes. The world doesn't fear you anymore. They expect you to lose. They want you to lose. It's tradition. You've become predictable. The great Dr. Eggman, trapped in his own rerun. Every defeat rehearsed, every explosion recycled. The universe isn't your enemy, it's your audience. And it's laughing. You build another machine. Sleek, deadly, brilliant. You even give it a dramatic name. Project Oblivion, or Omega Zero Prime. But you know what's coming. The dust, the chase, the quip, the blue flash cutting through your masterpiece like it's made of paper. And then, silence. You fall again, arms flailing, mouth wide open in cartoon agony. Your screams swallowed by the sky. Somewhere a child laughs. Somewhere a camera pans out. And you respawn, ready to play your part again. You're not the villain of this story. You're the joke that keeps it alive. Before the machines, there was a man. A boy, even. With oil-stained fingers and stars in his eyes. You weren't born evil. You were born curious. You wanted to build, not destroy. Your first invention wasn't a weapon. It was a bird. A tiny metal bird that could sing. It never stopped singing, even after the gears rusted. That sound stayed with you. A promise that creation could outlast its creator. But promises, like dreams, are fragile things. Then came the world. Cruel, fast, impatient. A place that doesn't care how brilliant you are, only how entertaining you can be. They mocked your ambition. They laughed at your ideas. They told you science should stay small, safe, profitable, so you did the only logical thing. You built an empire big enough to make the world listen. And when it didn't, you decided it would obey instead. Power became your language. Steel, your scripture. The Eggman army, your congregation of perfect silence. But there's something they never understood. You didn't want control for control's sake. You wanted order, a world without chaos. A place where nothing could run faster than your dreams. Then he appeared, a blur of blue and laughter. Sonic, a mistake of nature and irony. The very chaos you tried to erase, wrapped in sneakers and attitude. Every time he won, something in you cracked. Not out of anger, we say, but out of disbelief. Because you weren't fighting a hero. You were fighting the universe's cruel sense of humor. And somewhere between explosions, somewhere between loss and laughter, you stopped being a man with a dream and became the ghost of your own invention. The jungle wakes, again. Same laughter, same music, same ridiculous dance under a sun that never burns out. You play your part, repeating your lines, your gestures, your fears. Every day feels both new and old. Like a rerun pretending to be a premiere, you send your robots. They march, they fall, they explode in synchronized comedy. Even the destruction feels rehearsed. You could swear you've seen this day before. This angle, this camera pan, this exact shade of failure. And yet you keep going, not because you believe you can win, but because you don't know what else to do. You eat the same breakfast, read the same schematics, deliver the same monologue to an empty room. The silence answers back with static. Sometimes you wonder if the world outside even exists, or if you're just trapped inside someone's looping joke. You check your systems. All green, all perfect, all meaningless. Sonic runs by again, mocking you with his impossible freedom. You almost envy him. Almost. But envy is a luxury for people who can stop. And you can't. You're the loop's favorite toy, a man cursed to rebuild his own defeat over and over with machine-like precision. And the worst part? You've gotten good at it. You used to think your enemies were simple. Heroes in capes, animals with too much confidence. But over time, you learned the real enemy isn't them. It's the idea of them. The universe's obsession with balance. Every time you rise, it creates something faster, louder, dumber to stop you. Sonic, Tails, Knuckles. Each one a reminder that chaos always finds new faces to wear. You've tried every approach. Brute force, genius, charm, even sincerity. But the world doesn't want to be saved. It wants to be entertained. So you became the villain it could love. Round, loud, predictable. The man who falls just right, who explodes on cue. And yet late at night, when the lights dim and the laughter fades, you hear them, your creations whispering. Metal Sonic, Orbot, Kubot. Their voices glitch with static, their loyalty coated in pain. You built them in your image and perfection without peace. And now, they remind you of what you've become, a collection of broken loops pretending to be purpose. Sometimes you dream that Sonic stops running, that he turns around and asks, "Now what?" You never know how to answer, because without him, there's no script. Without the chase, there's no you. The greatest enemy you ever built was the world that refuses to let you stop being its joke. You once dreamed of peace. A world without chaos, without noise, without the endless race. You called it utopia. They called it tyranny. You imagined cities of clean metal and perfect order. Machines humming in harmony, skies free of clutter, a silence so pure it could almost be holy. But the world rejected it. Because peace is boring. It doesn't sell toys. It doesn't make heroes. People say they crave harmony, but what they really want is conflict. Something to fight. Something to fix, something to break again. And you were the perfect villain to keep their stories alive. You built the Eggman empire to end the noise, and instead became its loudest note. Your towers scrape the sky but never touch it. Your armies move with grace but always crumble in spectacle. Every failure feeds the cycle. Every defeat gives them another reason to cheer. You've become entertainment, a myth wrapped in machinery, a cautionary tale dressed like a punchline. Sometimes you wonder if the world even deserves saving. If chaos isn't just what it wants, but what it is. You can't fix a planet that hates peace. You can only mirror it and hope the reflection blinks first. So you keep building, even as the smoke stains the sky, even as your empire becomes your tomb. Because deep down, you're still chasing that impossible silence, the sound of a world finally standing still. You start to notice it, the pattern behind the pattern. The days don't just repeat, they recycle. The same laughter, the same lines, the same explosions rearranged like scenes in a broken film reel. You test it, you take notes, you change variables. You write Tuesday on your wall, but every day is Tuesday. Your machines remember things you don't. Tiny fragments, a different color sky, a line of dialogue that shouldn't exist. It's like reality itself is lagging. You begin to suspect you're not the one in control. That maybe you never were. Every blueprint feels pre-written. Every new idea echoes from a place you can't trace. Even your failures arrive on schedule. You realize the truth slowly, like a machine waking from sleep mode. The universe isn't broken. You are. You were built for this. To fail beautifully. To suffer theatrically. To keep the loop alive. And the worst part, You agreed to it. Somewhere long ago you must have. Because the only thing more terrifying than being trapped is knowing you chose the cage. You try to break the cycle. You shut down the systems. You destroy the base. You walk into the sunset promising it's over, then you blink and you're back. Same chair, same console, same joke. The loop resets, the lie continues, and the only sound left is laughter. And then somehow you win. The blue blur vanishes. The noise stops. The sky clears. For the first time in forever, the world is quiet. You did it. You finally did it. No more laughter. No more chase. No more reruns. You stand in the silence you always dreamed of. But it doesn't feel like peace. It feels hollow. The machines power down one by one. The monitors go dark. The world, your world, holds its breath. You walk through the ruins of your own victory. No fanfare. No witnesses. Just the echo of what used to matter. You thought winning would mean freedom. Instead, it feels like erasure, because without the chase, there's no story. Without the struggle, there's no purpose. And without Sonic, and there's no you. You stare at the horizon, waiting for the sound. That faint, mocking whoosh of wind that means he's back. But it never comes. The silence grows heavier. The stillness feels like punishment. You finally got what you wanted. A perfect, peaceful world. And now you understand why it could never last. Peace isn't victory. It's extinction with better lighting. The sun rises again, and for a second you think you hear it. That laugh, that impossible echo. But it's just memory pretending to be mercy. You close your eyes. The loop trembles. And somewhere, the script begins to rewrite itself. You wake again. But this time something's different. The hum of the machines feels quieter, the air heavier. It's like the world itself is waiting for your next line. You look around and realize you're not alone. Someone's watching. They always were. Every failure, every fall, every explosion choreographed for their amusement. You've spent your life trying to outsmart chaos, only to find out chaos has a subscription plan. You start to see them. Faces behind screens, eyes reflecting your pain like neon mirrors. They laugh when you scream. They cheer when you lose. Because it's all content. You were never meant to win. You were meant to entertain. And maybe that's the cruelest truth of all. You're not trapped by Sonic, or by fate, or by the loop. You're trapped by them, by the audience, by us. Every time they press play, you're reborn. Every time they laugh, you fall again. You want to hate them, but you can't. Because without their gaze, you'd fade completely. So you give them what they came for. You rise, you smirk, you prepare the next grand plan. The cycle restarts, not because you must, but because that's all you know. And as the music swells and the camera pulls away, you whisper the only truth left to say, and that's why it sucks to be Dr. Eggman. You survived the loop. See you in the next tragedy disguised as a cartoon.